It was October 16, 2013, an ordinary morning in Dhaka, Bangladesh, when officers arrived at the Rahman family home after neighbors reported something unusual. Days had passed, yet no one had seen or heard from the family. As police searched the house, they stepped into a small room where a strong, unsettling odor filled the air, an odor they recognized immediately. Inside the bathroom, officers discovered the bodies of Mr. and Mrs. Rahman. Some valuables were missing, and their eldest daughter, Oishi Rahman, was nowhere to be found. What happened inside this home? And where had Oishi gone? Today's case revolves around that very mystery. Oishi Rahman was born on August 17, 1994, in Bangladesh's Khulna district. Her father, Mahfuzur Rahman, worked as a police inspector in the special branch, while her mother, Shapna Rahman, worked at a private organization. She lived with her younger brother and a house helper named Khadija, who joined the family when Oishi was still young. Growing up, Oishi was quiet, introverted, and mostly kept to herself. Her parents were busy with demanding jobs, and as a result, she rarely received the emotional attention she needed. Her father's strict nature and the disciplined environment at home created more distance between her and her family. By the time she reached middle school, Oishi struggled academically and often skipped classes. Feeling misunderstood and unloved, her frustration slowly turned into rebellion. In 5th grade, she took up smoking, and soon the habit became a daily dependency. Her parents caught her multiple times and scolded her harshly, but nothing changed. Over the years, her relationship with her parents continued to deteriorate. In 2011, when Oishi reached 8th grade, she started meeting people much older than her through local clubs. Some were dancers, others businessmen. Among them was a 24-year-old dancer named Ronnie, who quickly became close to her. Through this circle, she was introduced to substances that would soon create a dangerous dependency. To sustain her new lifestyle, Oishi frequently stole money from her father's wallet. One day, when she was caught, her father confronted her, but even then, the situation didn't improve. Soon afterward, she secretly began consuming alcohol from her father's storage, and later, she started using a stimulant widely known in the region. As her dependency grew, her behavior changed drastically. When she no longer had money to support her habits, stress and desperation pushed her into a mental state that was spiraling out of control. And then, everything reached a breaking point. The events that followed led to the disappearance of the Rahman family, and a national mystery that revolved around one missing girl. Oishi Rahman.it was October 16, 2013, when officers in Dhaka, Bangladesh arrived at the Rahman family home for a welfare check. Days had passed, yet no one had seen or heard from the family. Their phones were off. Their neighbors were worried. And something inside the house didn't feel right. As officers searched room after room, they reached one particular area where a strong, disturbing odor filled the air. Experienced officers already knew what that usually meant. Inside the attached bathroom, they discovered the bodies of Mr. and Mrs. Rahman. Jewelry was missing, cash was missing, and the family's eldest daughter, Oishi Rahman, was nowhere to be found. What happened inside this home? And where was Oishi, the only person who could explain the truth? Today's case revolves around Oishi Rahman, a girl who grew up battling emotional distance, addiction, isolation, and eventually, the darkest decisions of her life. Oishi Rahman was born on August 17, 1994, in the Khulna district of Bangladesh. Her father, Mahfuzur Rahman, worked as a police inspector in the special branch. Her mother, Swapna Rahman, worked at a private organization named Destiny. Oishi also had a younger brother, Oishi. The family later moved to Dhaka's Kamelabag area, where they also hired a domestic worker named Khadija Akhtar Sumi. In 2002, Oishi started school at Banasri Cordova International School. She wasn't particularly strong academically, nor was she very social. She preferred being alone, quiet, and distant, a habit shaped slowly by her upbringing. Her parents were hardworking, often busy, and strict because of her father's disciplined profession. They wanted Oishi to study well, secure a good job, and follow the structured life expected of her. But Oishi never enjoyed academics, and the constant scolding at home only pushed her further away emotionally. By 5th grade, she had already begun showing signs of rebellion. She often avoided home, avoided school, and spent more time outdoors. Her loneliness kept growing, and so did her resentment toward her parents. In 2008, when she was still in 5th grade, Oishi secretly began smoking. What started as rebellion quickly became dependency, sometimes up to 20 cigarettes a day. When her parents found out, they punished her harshly, hoping she would stop. But she didn't. Her academic performance kept getting worse. She often skipped school altogether. She felt misunderstood at home, unheard, unloved. This emotional isolation pushed her deeper into risky behavior. By 2009, during a period of overwhelming pressure and loneliness, she attempted to harm herself, twice. Each time, her parents rescued her. They didn't know how to fix the emotional distance, but they deeply feared losing their daughter. In 2011, when she was in Class 8, Oishi started spending time with adults much older than her, people she met outside clubs. Some were dancers, some businessmen, and some were involved in substances Oishi quickly became addicted to. And that's where she met Ronnie, a 24-year-old dancer. They became close very quickly. Oishi trusted him more than she trusted anyone else. She shared everything with him. But addiction needs money, and Oishi had none. So she began stealing from her father's wallet. Eventually, she was caught. Her father scolded her. But the anger, the fear, the arguments, none of it stopped her. By 2012, she started consuming alcohol taken from home. Soon after, she began using yaba, a dangerous substance known for causing severe behavioral changes. Her mental and emotional condition worsened dramatically. When her parents realized the extent of her addiction, they confronted her, punished her, and restricted her movement. They even transferred her to another school to break her ties with her old circle. But it only pushed her further into isolation. And alone, unstable, and desperate, she started seeing Ronnie as her emotional escape, someone who understood her when she felt her parents didn't. On July 31st, 2013, Oishi's parents caught her talking to her old friends over the phone. Furious and frustrated, they took her phone away. For Oishi, that moment broke something inside. Anger became resentment. Resentment became hatred. And hatred turned into something far darker. She began planning to kill her parents. She bought a large kitchen knife. She collected sedative tablets from multiple pharmacies. And 5 days before the planned date, she shared her entire plan with Ronnie, who allegedly promised to help hide the bodies afterward. On August 15, 2013, Oishi put her plan into action. She made coffee for her mother, a coffee laced with sedatives. Her mother soon fell asleep. Later, at 10 p.m., she called her father and asked him to come home early. Once he arrived, she gave him the same sedative-laced coffee. Within minutes, he too was asleep. Around 2 a.m., after consuming alcohol herself, Oishi entered their bedroom with the knife. What followed was a tragic series of events that left both parents dead and her younger brother, only 8 years old, terrified and confused by the chaos he had witnessed. To silence him, terrified he might cry out, Oishi locked her little brother inside the attached bathroom. Throughout all of this, the housemaid Sumi silently watched through the keyhole, too frightened to intervene. Oishi had already tried to run away before, and a couple of times her parents had even stopped her from hurting herself. This was her third attempt, and once again, they managed to save her. No matter how rebellious she was, no matter how difficult she made things at home, her parents simply did not want to lose their daughter. Their way of disciplining her might have been harsh, their communication might not have been perfect, but at the end of the day, they wanted what they believed was best for her. When Oishi couldn't get access to drugs for a long time, she repeatedly tried to escape from home. Every time, her parents brought her back and tried to make her understand. And when they discovered the extent of her addiction, they reacted out of panic. She was beaten, her phone was taken away, and she was not allowed to leave the house anymore. Her school was even changed so she couldn't meet her old friends. From then on, her life was just school and home and school, nothing else. But even with strict rules, she managed to secretly stay in touch with people outside. Isolation, frustration, and emotional instability slowly pushed her into seeing Ronnie, a boy she barely knew, as someone who understood her better than anyone else. She started sharing everything with him, believing he cared in ways her parents never did. At home, she constantly used her phone to talk to friends and arrange whatever she wanted. But on July 31st, 2013, Her parents caught her on a call with her old friends. Furious, they scolded her and took her phone away. And this moment became a turning point. The anger she held inside for years suddenly turned into deep resentment. After that day, it was no longer just anger, it became hatred. And from that hatred, a plan began forming in her mind. In her eyes, her parents were now the enemies stopping her from living the life she wanted. And in her mind, the only final solution was for them to no longer exist. This thought kept growing, slowly, then rapidly. She bought a large knife and collected 60 sedative tablets from different pharmacies. 5 days before everything happened, she told Ronnie about her entire plan. Ronnie allegedly promised he would help her hide the bodies afterward. On August 15, 2013, she executed her plan. It was a regular Tuesday evening. She gave her mother coffee mixed with sedatives. Her mother soon fell asleep in the bedroom. At 10 p.m., she called her father and asked him to come home quickly. As soon as he arrived, she gave him the same drug-laced coffee. He also went to sleep in the same room. Once they were unconscious, Oishi drank 2 bottles of whiskey alone in her room. At around 2 a.m., she picked up the knife her parents had bought for her and walked into the bedroom. She first attacked her mother. The sudden pain made her mother scream, waking Oishi's little brother, who had been sleeping right beside their parents. His mother instinctively pushed him away to keep him safe, but while she managed to protect her son, she could not save herself. Within moments, she passed away. Oishi then turned toward her father and attacked him as well. He, too, died within minutes. Her little brother, only 8 years old, witnessed the aftermath. Terrified and unable to understand what was happening, he cried uncontrollably. To silence him, Oishi locked him inside the attached bathroom. One of the housemaids, Sumi, saw a glimpse of what was happening through the keyhole, but was too scared to react. She quietly ran back to her room. Around 4 a.m., Oishi woke Sumi up and told her that Ronnie and another friend had broken in and killed her parents. But Sumi had already seen the truth, and Oishi's clothes still had blood on them. Sumi was only 11, overwhelmed and traumatized by what she had witnessed. Out of fear, she simply did what Oishi told her to do. Sumi cleaned the blood-stained room while Oishi took a shower. Afterward, they moved both bodies into the attached bathroom. To calm her brother, Oishi brought him out of the bathroom and lied, saying their mother had suffered a small injury and their father had taken her to the hospital. Hearing this, the boy stopped crying and tried to believe her. Oishi quickly packed 2 bags with jewelry, cash, the blood-stained clothes, the knife, and both phones. She took Sumi and her brother outside the building. While leaving, she casually told the watchman they were going out for a few hours. Then, they disappeared. On August 16th, they had nowhere to stay. They roamed around in a rickshaw all day, looking for a place because Ronnie had arranged something only for the next day. Oishi left Sumi at the rickshaw driver's house and stayed with her brother at another driver's place. From there, she called her uncle Alam at 2 a.m., saying her parents had suddenly traveled out of the city for a few days, and she was too scared to stay alone. The next day, Alam called her back and told her to return home immediately. Instead of going herself, she sent only her brother back in the rickshaw and went to Ronnie's aunt's house. When Alam saw the little boy return alone, he was confused and worried. He asked where Oishi was, where Sumi was, but the child could barely speak. He was traumatized and couldn't process anything. Alam rushed to Oishi's home and found the door locked. Calls to her parents went unanswered. Asking neighbors, he learned that Oishi had told the watchman they were all going out together in the morning. This made the situation suspicious, and police were called immediately. After breaking the lock, police searched the house and eventually discovered both bodies in the bathroom. Jewelry and cash were missing, and there was no weapon. The little boy was too shaken to say anything useful. Police started looking for Oishi, but Oishi wasn't as prepared as she thought. Reality must have hit her. The police would eventually find her, and she couldn't hide forever. 2 days after the murders, on August 17th, she walked into Paltan police station and surrendered. She also revealed where she had hidden everything. Police recovered the knife and the blood-stained clothes from Ronnie's aunt's home. The next day, Sumi arrived at the police station with the rickshaw driver and told the officers everything she had seen with her own eyes. But once arrested, Oishi kept changing her story over and over again. After her arrest, Oishi kept changing her statements again and again. At times she claimed that her friend Ronnie had killed her parents, and other times she insisted she didn't even know they were dead. But she couldn't run from the truth anymore, because the police already had the knife, the primary piece of evidence, linking everything back to her. Even her age became a point of confusion. Her school documents suggested she was a minor, but her passport showed she was over 18. After a medical examination, authorities confirmed she wasn't a minor at all. She was a 19-year-old woman. The post-mortem report revealed something even more disturbing. Oishi had stabbed her father twice, and her mother 11 times. Forensic experts initially believed that more than one person must have carried out the attack because of how violent it was. But eventually, it was confirmed. Oishi alone had carried out every one of those brutal blows. And if that's the case, you can imagine how much anger, how much bottled-up hatred she must have carried inside her for her own parents. Because of the overwhelming evidence and Sumi's eyewitness statement, Oishi was officially arrested. But once inside the prison, her behavior became increasingly strange. She often appeared lost in her thoughts, sometimes sitting quietly in a corner, just staring at the walls without saying a word. Court-appointed psychological experts evaluated her mental state and concluded that Oishi was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Her alcohol addiction had only made her condition worse, especially the withdrawal symptoms after her arrest. The case dragged on in court for years. Ronnie, the friend who helped her escape, was sentenced to 2 years in prison for assisting her. Sumi's case moved to juvenile court and is still ongoing. On November 12, 2015, Oishi Rahman was sentenced to death for the murder of her parents. But her lawyers appealed to the High Court, arguing that she was mentally unstable and under the influence of alcohol at the time of the crime. Because of that defense, her death sentence was reduced to life imprisonment. Over the years, Oishi has changed. She reportedly regrets everything she did. She now spends most of her time praying, reading spiritual books, and staying quiet. She is no longer addicted to any substances. Yet since the COVID-19 pandemic, none of her relatives have visited her in prison. It seems she has been completely cut off from her family. But what about her younger brother, Oishi? After the tragedy, Oishi was adopted by their uncle. But the trauma affected him deeply. He almost stopped speaking, and for a long time he would wander around looking for his parents. Even today, he continues to suffer from nightmares about that night. He doesn't remember that his sister killed his parents, only flashes of the horrible things he saw. He still lives under the supervision of the family doctor, who says Oishi needs long-term counseling to recover from the emotional trauma. As for Oishi, no one knows whether her actions were driven entirely by alcohol or something much deeper. She had been drinking, yes, but alcohol alone can't push someone to commit something like this. Many people believe that years of emotional neglect and lack of care from her parents played a major role in what she eventually became. Some even believe that if she had received therapy earlier instead of being locked inside the house, things might have been very different. But according to the police, and honestly, in my view as well, substance abuse alone doesn't explain a crime this extreme. Something darker must have been building inside her for a long time. If you're young and watching this, show this story to your parents. Sometimes all a child really needs is love, attention, and understanding. Lack of it can destroy a life. And with that, this case comes to an end. If you enjoy true crime documentaries like this one, make sure to subscribe, because we create many more stories just like this.